I don't know if anyone told you about me. I'm a new student here. My name is Katie Heron.
Talk to me again and I'll kick your ass.
The ways that girls mess with each other is so clever and intricate, and yet instinctively it's there. Every girl and woman is capable of doing it.
Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy? Push back. Chris Rock said something really interesting. He said, women would run the world if they didn't hate each other. That's the only thing that keeps them from running this whole planet, is that we hate each other.
Why do you hate her?
What do you mean?
Regina, you seem to really hate her.
Yes. What's your question?
Girls just, I don't know. There's just this vibe sometimes, unless you don't know the girl. There's a vibe in the beginning, you know? There's just this competition.
I mean, that's just like the rules of feminism.
Girls can be really mean. I think mainly because they're like, so many girls are so insecure, especially when you're going through your teenage years and you don't know who you are, so you're trying to be anything that like feels slightly comfortable, even if it's not yourself.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
There's always rivalry in high school. You're believing what one person says and then going and confronting one other person. But that's the fun about high school. You grow out of it eventually, hopefully. Having lunch with the plastics was like leaving the actual world and entering Girl World. And Girl World had a lot of rules.
When I read Rosalind Wiseland's book, Queen Bees and Wannabes, the thing that struck me the most about it was the anecdotes of real behaviors of, interviews she had done with all these girls. And at first I just thought I found them really to be very funny.
The basic premise of Mean Girls is actually kind of spoken about in a speech later in the movie that's repeated when Katie has her epiphany. And it's basically that calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier, calling somebody else stupid won't make you any smarter.
You guys have got to stop calling each other sluts and whores. It's just bad for business. When I read Rosalind Wiseman's book, I just really, all the things that she talked about, they reminded me of the way I was. They were sort of the way you hate the girl that has the boy you like, regardless of, she's never done anything to you except she has the boy that you like, and you hate her, and you are just full of all-consuming bile.
I read a lot of scripts that are really like dumb funny, like, oh, this is so gross, or this is just so inappropriate, or it's so over the top. And this has like a tiny element of, silliness to it, but it's also it's really intelligent humor.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
I first approached Lauren because I had been reading about Rosalind's book and reading her book. I mentioned to him that maybe this could be a movie, and so he has this relationship with Paramount, so we got the ball rolling.
She thought this is what she wanted to write a movie about. I said, great. We set about with Paramount to acquire the rights to the book, and then she began.
I, in my foolishness and naivete, said, yeah, I'll adapt Rosalind's book. And then I really sat down and read Rosalind's book, and I was like, this is non-fiction, non-narrative book. There's no story in this book. So I had painted myself into the corner of making a story where there was only parental guidance.
There was never any point at which we thought it wasn't going to be a comedy. It's a very rich subject matter, and I think there was more and more talk about this subject, and so it seemed very much in the air, and also I knew that she'd have a smart take on it.
It's very realistic and true to high school. There's things that are more than people do in high school. That's the fun of the script, and I think Tina just did a great job of really getting into the characters.
A lot of teen movies nowadays, you don't have characters that have backgrounds, but you can ask Tina, what do you think of my character? You can ask her questions about your character and she'll know every answer. She knows who these people are.
I think this film is unique because it kind of has a couple of different voices kind of going on in it. There's a really real element, about kind of, the downside of high school and the good things, that really do actually affect people and affect how you grow up.
Promise me you won't make fun of her.
Of course I'm not gonna make fun of her.
You're so sweet.
And I think that's Tina Fey's script. That's the thing that sets it apart, is the intelligence of the writing and the nuance and the kind of the depth of all these kind of universe of characters that she created is something that you are not going to get inside your average cookie cutter high school picture.
There's no room for weakness. There's just, if you're weak, you'll just get eaten alive. And Katie comes in and she is a very strong person, and so quickly figures out at least one way to survive, and then in this environment and then maybe realizes that's not the best way.
The thing that I'm most going for with the movie is this kind of highly charged situation of high school and the hormones that are raging and the fact that you're kind of trying to act like adults and trying to be socialized like adults, but you're not adults. Like all of those things going on lead to a lot of turmoil.
Watch out, please! New meat coming through.
We have a girl who's kind of like a complete virgin, and not in just sexual ways, but in every manner of being. In girl world, in a teenage world, and kind of in an American world, has no conception of what it means to live in the modern day culture. And she gets plunked down into the middle of this crazy petri dish of the Midwestern high school.
It's just basically about a girl who moves into this new school and has to deal with meeting new people and trying to become like a certain group of people and take one of them down all at once, and everything kind of flows back in her face because she doesn't realize what she's done, what she's created.
Lindsay is so great playing Katie, and she's so wonderful to watch and so charming, and you like her instantly.
Hey. Action. Cut.
Lindsay gives you this giant advantage in casting that the audience already likes her.
What Lindsay brings to it is her strength. The big danger with the role of Katie is to have a wallflower who's kind of shy and wilting and can get chewed up and spit out. And the thing that Lindsay brings is that even when she's in a supposedly passive mode, she's so alive and so strong that you always feel like she's a very formidable contender.
Lindsay, she not only sort of understood the script, but she, I think in a certain way, Tina instantly trusted her judgment about what was right and what sounded right in the characters.
What? I read Tina's script so long ago. I read the first draft, and I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. And I was actually more interested in playing Regina.
And we thought we should see if we can find somebody to play Katie opposite you. And we didn't really find anybody who I thought was kind of strong enough to play Katie opposite her. And then also Lindsay started to kind of like the idea of playing Katie.
Then I was like, I don't really want to play the mean girl and stuff, and I don't want like, you know what I mean? I mean, it'll be fun eventually if I could do that, but I think right now where I'm at, I don't think I'm in a position where I can just go and play a mean girl and still hope people think I'm nice, because they think you're your character sometimes, especially like my little sister. If she saw it, she'd be like, why are you so mean?
Katie, do you even know who sings this?
The Spice Girls?
I love her. She's like a Martian.
Lindsay is the absolute center of the picture. When we saw her in Freaky Friday, and I, of course, seen her in Parent Trap as well, she just was perfect for it.
I think that she brings both the element of kind of innocence and, you know, a sense of knowing and maturity to the role. That's really good for it.
Action.
What day is it?
It's October 3rd.
Firstly, she's kind of overwhelmed by the sheer madness of it all, the number of people and the craziness, and it basically has no place to find her footing. And then the biggest outcasts of the school, who are also the smart, witty outsiders, like kind of the art freaks, see her as somebody who could be a kindred spirit just because she seems weird. They are kind of her first friends at school, and they introduce her to or tell her the legend of the Plastics, which is Regina and Gretchen and Karen, who are the most popular girls in school, yet at the same time the most feared and hated.
We're the Plastics.
They're teen royalty. If North Shore was Us Weekly, they would always be on the cover.
There was a group, when I was in high school, there was definitely a group of people that you just knew everything about them and you knew who they were dating, and they were a soap opera, and you would maybe never even have had said a word to them, but you kind of knew, like, she's got bangs, maybe I should get bangs. It's just celebrity culture shrunk down to high school size.
Plastics, they sort of dictate the style and, you know, the behavior and what's cool and what's not, and the do's and the don'ts and the, you know, the rights and the wrongs and all the rules of high school, which we all have to follow to a T.
Regina's the leader, and, you know, she's psychotic and she's very evil, and, you know, Gretchen and Karen, we just follow her. I feel like a puppy dog in some scenes because we walk around like, what are you doing? What are we doing?
And everyone is kind of hates them and kind of knows everything about them. They're celebrities within their school.
They wear like mini skirts, heels. I think they're all about like looking hot all the time. And girls are like that in high school. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun to do that. But they're just always on, you know what I mean? They're never taking a moment to not think of what they look like and stuff. They're very self-absorbed.
So this looks great like this. Yeah.
Do you want us to move, like walk?
Yeah, just a little walk.
Okay.
Just walk a little bit with her.
So you just want to stay together.
Hi guys. Okay, put me down here. Thanks. They say do the hair thing is great. That's fine.
And then
Okay,
down,
so
let her down.
Gracefully. Like, okay. And then
Regina George, me, she's the queen bee, so to speak. She's at the head. She's at the very top, the pinnacle.
The great thing about Rachel is it's so true that you have to cast a nice girl to play just that you have to cast a smart person to play a dumb person. You have to cast someone really polite and kind and hardworking to play this character, because if you cast the real thing, it would be a nightmare.
It's a really fun role to play because I go from the top to the bottom and then back up to the top again, sort of, or somewhere in the middle.
What's that say? Caitlin Cousin is
Fat whore. I sort of get to fall really far and rebound, and I get hip and pressed, I get to wear a spinal hail, I get to wear these amazing clothes, I get to wear a fat suit, I get zits, I lose them in 2 days, I get to eat all kinds of food.
Is butter a carb?
Yes. I mean, what more could you ask for, really?
I think Regina, when she first meets Katie, is smart enough to be threatened by her, to know that this girl is pretty enough and smart enough. And there's that thing that girls and women do, which is, you keep your enemies close. I'll take you in and keep you close to me to keep you down.
Love ya.
And I think Katie is kind of starstruck by Regina in the beginning. That she can't believe she's talking to her, and she's exposing her to all these clothes and makeup and hair and things she has no idea. She's never seen anything like it before, so it's a little hero worship.
Wow, your house is really nice.
I know, right?
And it was really this very interesting balancing act of trying to find not only who was best for the part, but who kind of fit as a group. And interestingly enough, Amanda Seyfried, who ended up playing the role of Karen, was somebody who read for Regina and was fantastic in the part, but just didn't feel like as good as Rachel did opposite Lindsay. And then we actually said, well, why not try her out for Karen? It turned out she had this kind of like spacey, daffy sense of humor that was perfect for that.
You know who's looking fine tonight? Seth Musikowski.
Okay, you did not just say that.
What? He's a good kisser. She's the dumb one of the group, There's always a dumb one. I was always kind of the dumb one of my group. I would ask like stupid questions and I wouldn't know why I asked them, and my friends will tell me that. I was always the airhead. No, I felt a little Jamie Priestley on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he's my first cousin.
It's like, yeah, no, you're more like, really, it's okay.
No,
yeah,
he's my
first cousin. And for Gretchen, we actually didn't find anybody who felt right until Lacey walked in the room, and suddenly it was just thanking God in heaven that we found something that worked. And when we put the three of them together, it just seemed like it was meant to be.
The Plastics are basically kind of the richest, most trendy, slightly snobby, mean girls in school. But Gretchen, the character that I play, is really only mean by association. She just has like this tendency to really, kind of spill everyone's secrets and say too much about people. I'm such a good friend. She's incredibly insecure. She's so nervous and, constantly having anxiety attacks that Regina is going to kick her out of the Plastics and she'll lose her status. So she just tries really, really a little too hard sometimes.
We don't let just anybody into our club.
Okay, you should just know that we don't do this a lot, so this is like a really huge deal.
There's a lot of specifics involved.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
A lot of standards that you need to meet.
And you can only wear your hair in a ponytail once a week.
You have to have the right style, you have to have, the right sensibility.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't buy a skirt without asking your friends first if it looks good on you.
I wouldn't?
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of work.
There's always those kind of girls in your school that just it seems like they have some kind of guidebook of how to look good that you don't have.
Those bitches.
Janice and Damien are more from my high school experience and from my memory. I have a good friend from high school who he went to the Catholic school down the street, but we knew each other from summer theater, and he was, in a lot of ways, the inspiration for the character of Damien. And between myself and some other friends that I have are kind of mushed together to be Janice.
They're kind of the art freaks. Yeah, I refer to Janice and Damien as like the art freaks, and I'm so glad I don't have to sit at their table.
They're like the odd couple. They're perfect for each other.
They actually, I think, are cooler than anyone else in the school because they don't care what people think about them and just live for who they are.
We're actually a lounge act on the side.
That's right. See, this is our big move.
My name's Ethel, and his name...
Oh, yeah. No, Mildred and Ira.
Mildred Naira.
Lizzie Kaplan was kind of almost too beautiful to play the role of Janice. Originally conceived, we thought we were going to find like a Kelly Osbourne type to play Janice, but then nobody else had the kind of the raw energy and the attitude that you needed for that part except for Lizzie, and we figured we could kind of make Lizzie, we added this element that Lizzie used to be, you know, Regina's best friend, and so she's kind of just gone to the dark side.
What Rosalind does write about in her book is this whole notion of being inside the box or outside the box. And you know, if you're a girl that's inside the box, you're pretty and neat and a good student and you don't sleep around and you're whatever. And if you're anything out, you know, outside the box is if you don't look the same as everyone and you maybe express your anger. God forbid you might even be gay. Then there's all these things are going to put you outside that box and make it hard for you. And Janice is definitely outside the box.
Normally, it's like I get a script and I'm like, okay, I'll do this movie if I get it. And then by the end, I'm like, please let me get this. And so it's like pure luck that it ended up being, you know, good. But I really liked the script. From the second I heard about it and I heard that Tina was writing it, I was very excited about it because she's awesome. And I read it and I get really obnoxious with scripts that I like because then I'll like call people and be like, listen to this line, and like read the whole script. Yeah, I do that a lot. It's bad.
Suck on that!
It's very easy to play Janice as just this, you know, crazy, bitter, angry girl, which she does very well. But there is definitely like a vulnerability that she brings to it that centers her, and you kind of want to like she's not like the mean girl that you want like a bucket of water to fall on. She's kind of like the mean girl that you want to give a hug to. Regina started this rumor that Janice.
Damien, shall we not?
I think we're all essentially in the movie. I mean, me and Janice. I mean, I think I'm a boy mean girl in the movie when I'm with Janice. And I think that's what, when you combine Janice and Damien together, they just become like this.
Background, folks. We looked a long time to find Damien, and we found Daniel just in the nick of time. We were looking in, you know, 4 cities to find Damien because it was, and that was nothing what Mark was very generous with me about because Damien was so clear to me in my head. And when I finally saw Daniel, I was like, yeah, this is the guy.
Hey, get out of here!
Oh my God, Danny DeVito, I love your work!
To have somebody who's kind of supposedly too gay to function, as one of the quotes in the movie, yet doesn't kind of like fall into like a stereotypical portrayal of that and kind of find that sense of humor, it was very difficult to find that balance. Until Danny walked in and kind of made us all laugh with the part, we didn't know who was going to do that part.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it raw.
Lizzie and Daniel are hilarious together right from the beginning. I think I was there one of the first nights that they met, and Daniel was being really funny and kind of talking, and Lizzie just was like, dude, back off, I just met you. And was like shutting him down, and like that kind of fighting but kind of loving each other is, I think, exactly what that friendship should be.
This is what happens.
All right, follow me. Come on.
What you want to do is,
Come on, you know how to do it.
I'm trying to explain it to the people, so why don't you just let me explain it to the people?
It's like my soul was taken out of my body and split in 2, and I got half, and Daniel got half.
One of the first things they told me on the phone when they told me I got the role was, you are gonna love the girl that's playing Lizzie. Like, they're like, you guys are gonna click like nobody's business.
He's the light that burns within me.
Bravo, Mark.
It's hard to like speak to a guy when you don't know him and you're new to a school. It's always nerve-wracking. You're always kind of like iffy. It's like, well, are they gonna say yes or are they gonna say no? And Jonathan's great to work with. We have fun working with each other.
And when I was showing the tapes of all the people auditioning for Aaron, I showed them to my wife and I showed them to my young assistant, and Jonathan came on, they all sat up in their seats and like, oh yeah, he works. Oh yeah, he works. And I thought, okay, well, that's a good sign.
Aaron, this dreamy Aaron.
Bravo, Mark.
He's inherently very sweet, Jonathan. I think he's like a kind of gentle, he actually, and he reminds me a little bit of Jimmy Fallon, and I think that's why I was like, yeah, that guy, get that guy.
What are you doing?
I forgot what a good kisser you are.
Aren't you like here with
It's kind of like when he walks through the hallway, the whole school turns into an Abercrombie ad. That's his life. And you know what's funny is that Jonathan Bennett, who plays that character, it's the same way. It's like, we'll be walking down the street, it'll be raining outside, his shirt will fall off, all these guys around him will be like all hot, and like they'll be like surfing and like throwing footballs. It's weird, like out of nowhere.
He's that every boy that is that first boy that you see that you think you're gonna just faint when you see him. You literally lose your mind. You cannot function, you cannot maintain your friendships. You lose your mind in pursuit of a boy. And that's on Jonathan's shoulders to convey that on screen.
Is Norberry?
And we filled out the cast with this amazing kind of like group of ex-SNL people, including Tina and Amy Poehler, who are current SNL people, but Anna Gasteyer and Tim Meadows and Neil Flynn from Scrubs. So it kind of gives it these kind of comedy veterans playing against this young, talented group.
I think I was really attracted to the idea of the Saturday Night Live skill set without sort of all of the burden and onus of the pre-existing character that a lot of people associate with Saturday Night Live movies.
It's funny, it's kind of been like we kind of have these separate camps because I know a lot of the, myself and Neil Flynn, who plays Katie's dad, and Tim Meadows and Anna Gasteyer and Tina. We've all worked together in different capacities. So it's been a really nice kind of reunion. And so sometimes we feel a little bit like the chaperones at the dance a little bit. Like we're like, has everyone checked in on the kids? Is everybody okay? Like we feel a little old.
These ladies are very young to be playing moms. They're much too young to be playing these moms, but they're bringing the comedy that the characters need.
I completely disagree with you.
Amy, at the thigh slap.
Amy Poehler is going to play Mrs. George. She's going to play Regina's mother, and she was one person that I really did have in mind when I was writing, and I thought, oh, she's way too young. They're never going to let her do this because she's so young and beautiful, and she's playing this this trashy mom, but I'm so happy that they're letting her do it.
I'd like to point out these are, and feel free to zero, and these are not mine, although I'm sure many people assume they are, but they are not mine. The wardrobe department, along with Industrial Light and Magic, have created a beautiful, beautiful display. But these are nothing but padding and the hopes and dreams of of millions, yeah.
Tim also I kind of had in mind for the beginning because I had known Tim. We were at the show, overlapped at the same time.
Mr. Duvall, who doesn't have a first name, I don't know. Mr. Duvall, he's handsome. He has an underlying sexiness that comes across pretty much throughout the movie. But, we're trying to work on keeping that, sort of, because we want a PG rating or something like that.
And what we're going to try to do is fix the way you young ladies relate to each other. Okay? Lady to lady.
Hopefully this movie will take, I think there's a lot of movies that have the hot popular girls who are mean, but I'm hoping that we will get to know them more fully in this movie.
I really think the characters in this film can really teach you a lot of things about life, especially that you can never wear too much lip gloss.
Okay, that hurt. If you were to get breast implants, make sure that they're sensitive enough. Try to maintain some nipple sensitivity, so if your dog is chewing on them, you might notice.
You don't have to listen to those mean girls. They're just there to make you upset and make you feel bad about yourself. And really, inside, they feel bad about themselves too. They don't want to admit it to anybody.
If you have ever been picked on by a girl, ever, then you will really appreciate this movie. Because these girls are ruthless, and there's all different kinds of mean girls. There's pretty mean girls, there's ugly mean girls.
You're a bitch!
There's bitter mean girls, there's gay guy mean girls, there's a bunch of different mean girls. And you will feel the wrath of all of them when you watch this movie and laugh about it.
It's just great to hear stories about how you feel and, what you kind of go through. And it's just great to have that sort of like, oh, yes, I feel that way. Yes, and I feel that way, and I know that girl, and I know that girl, and I know that guy. And it's just something you can relate to. And it's really fun at the same time.
It's really not another teen movie. It's not a regular teen movie because it's smarter, because Tina Fey wrote it, and she's into the random comedy.
I'm from Michigan. Great. The message of Mean Girls is basically just be yourself and don't get caught up in certain things and don't change for anyone and be around people that you can trust and that won't hurt you in any way.
Sometimes when you're going through anything, you feel like you're the only one. And I think that if you're being bullied around by some kid in your high school, some mean girl, and then you go and you see this movie, you'll probably be like, oh, it's funny and life is art. And this is kind of very similar to true life. I think that those people would definitely be inspired a little bit and learn to laugh about some of it.
It's sort of a hopeful tale. I didn't want it to come out of it feeling like women are awful to each other always, always, forever, their whole life, and that's just the way it is. I think women can learn how to be around each other and how to feel good about themselves without building themselves up at the expense of tearing other people down.